What's good with it, people? We are back. Week 2, podcast 2, whatever. It's a YouTube video. Congrats, everybody. We're doing podcasts. Yay. And I don't know. A week of testing has gone by. We're going to revisit the thoughts we have going into Dallas. Is it Dallas? Yeah, of course, right?
Yep,
Dallas Digifest. And the first IRL event in quite some time. Because, that's just wild playing online for so long. But yeah, First off, how is everyone doing? Cam, Tyler, everyone good? Work's been great.
Doing great.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to pack for. I'm tripping out for an event. Fortunately, it's not Digifest.
Oh yeah, what are you doing?
But yeah, I'm playing Pokemon because I committed to that before I knew about Digifest.
Interesting.
Damn.
Yeah, you're playing.
Unfortunate.
You're playing in the Mew Wars, but the wrong one. Not even Mewtwo Wars, just regular Mew. It's horrible.
Digimon needs to get out their events quicker. Hopefully they do that this year.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Schedule.
The One Piece card game's coming. It's a new takeover. So we're gonna
No
have
Digimon
no more Digimon Fest. It's gonna be one piece One Piece Fest. Okay, so we've had a week of testing, and I put out the video of my green list, and I know that we don't have much to go off of with online events and people normal Facebook discussion. But I think across the board, all of our opinions changed a little bit from last week. We'll start with the big one in the room. And Cam, how are you now feeling about purple eggs, yellow base, or is that base? Yeah, yellow deck. Seraphimon Madness, whatever. How are you liking it?
I think it is still strong because it has the ability to have some stack security. Hybrids are still on some level good, but I think it runs into the problem that security control was always able to be played around by a good player with a good deck. And I think this format, there's a variety of decks like that in every color where if they can be played very well. Is a high skill format. Yellow has kind of a linear path, and always has. And that I played it a lot. I'm okay with saying that, but because of that, this format it feels like it's dropped from 1 to maybe 4 for me.
Yeah.
In terms of top decks.
Yeah, in its own way, the meta and the consistency of lists, getting pushed over the past week, or while we're making the podcast, that Friday, that Saturday, that Sunday, it was how do I say it? A lack of kill spells and a lack of interacting with tamers started to show the real greed that takes place in purple yellow, as well as once everyone starts playing good lists, then you get punished for making old moves, which in this case is Bokomon being the main consistency of the deck. So as Blue Hybrid kept getting more and more hype, I personally thought it was free. You were messaging me and you're like, I think the matchup feels super, super close. And I was like, I don't understand. My games have been super, super easy. And then when we played, I was like, you're right. This is much closer than I expected. And so it's to the point where now I'm like, oh, before I was side decking, Cutemon, Neo Devimon, all these other kind of techs. Now I'm revising how I want to even play that. And it feels like playing such a close game 1 against Blue Hybrid, which is, in my opinion, the most hype deck going into Dallas. It's a scary feeling to go into, right? So, if you are a purple-yellow player out there, what
yellow? You mean yellow
hybrid?
Yeah,
yellow hybrid, whatever. Yeah, yellow hybrid player. Definitely test against the blue matchup, and I still think, unless you have the text that we discussed, that you're not gonna find much success against blue in game 1. And that being because once you get out of Boko and they just farm memory off of it, it feels really, really hard to win, especially if they go wide with tamers and just go for the sweet OTK. And it's funny how now it's before we dealt with level 6s really well with kill spells, we as in Secon players, and now that's not the case. We don't have any level 6 kill spells. Wyverns honestly doesn't feel like it's cutting it, and it's playing a cost option feels like the worst play ever because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they
I'd
just
almost
they
rather
drop
play
triple
Flybolt.
tamer on you, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna lose. Like just 3 free hybrids from there. So, what are some like side deck tech that you're looking to play? And has your opinion on Kazuchi changed over like the rush that's going on, or because the way I see it, you good players don't play into Kazuchi. Like they just don't put themselves at like they'll put you at 1 or 2 unless they already have like lethal, and at that point they kind of just I'll wait another turn. And like we've discussed before, making the play first and like being the first one to take the initiative of bringing out a digi is getting punished harder and harder. So
I just feel like yellow has like the list hasn't really changed much, if it is, it's like the megas change, and that's about it.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like the deck, pretty much everything else has been kind of locked in. Maybe you play 4 TK, maybe you play Kari, maybe you don't. But that's really about as like spicy as it gets. So I feel like maybe the deck needs to like try to reinvent itself
Yeah,
in some ways, to kind of deal with these other decks that are shifting. Like blue, I feel like is shifting, green, and even purple. So maybe you just need more. Yeah.
yeah. So side deck tech, if we're expecting green, purple, blue, I came up with the idea of Deathclaw, which is just to sacrifice our own Boko, so that anything that gets frozen by blue, you just remove it off the board. You don't even have to pop one of their digis in order to like get value out of it. But then again, while that might be the only like I'll probably cite 3 or 4 of them to be honest. While that might be like one of the only techs to like help go against blue, I can't see myself putting those cards in main, and like and having them for game 1 for the blue hybrid matchup. And so it's awkward trying to visualize how to play it. And I think now that the megas have been pushed to like a certain level where I think most people are playing near the same megas that I was, which is like no more shine gray garbage. Like we're playing good megas now and Kazushi and all that. I don't think there's much that separates me in the mirror match of purple yellow than my opponent, even like skill wise. So like let's say like I'm a really bad player and then they're like a very good second player or yellow player, whatever. I don't think there's a huge gap between like us just because like, oh, we're gonna hit our mega and we're just gonna do what we gotta do, and that feels very bad not to be able to like have an outplay. When in blue hybrid, I think like you're sitting there stunning freezing all day. I couldn't imagine trying to walk through that as me as a second player picking a blue versus like a veteran blue player who just like knows the ins and outs of the mirror match, knows what's good, knows what's bad, and like knows what to side deck in. So
Yeah. Like it's just the yellow, just the outplay ability is not there, and so that even in the mirror, it's just like even if you play well, their security was sick and mine wasn't.
Yeah,
Dope.
yeah.
And I know that like that's for any matchup, but yellow in particular, right? Because that's just always been its calling card.
Yeah. Okay. So no digis or yellow for you. It's just pure Pokemon. So have fun with that and whatever you play for this weekend. Tyler, how's Cherubi treating you, man? Because you're always on purple, and how's it been going?
Cherubi's been going pretty good. Been testing a lot of different things in Cherubi. The main ones that kind of stand out that have been performing as far as like techs I've been testing have been Starmons and Fly Bullets. So Starmons just to kind of deal with all the random Bokos and Terriermons and Gazimons or whatever are floating around. So I don't have to invest a Deathclaw early into those. I can just either like first turn Boko and then like Starmons whenever they respond with Boko or Terriermon or raise up the Gazi or whatever turn 2. And then whenever I Tamer line up in the Cherubi, whenever they feel safe Cherubi's out, I can now play my Bokos and now play my Gazis and other little weenies like that to try to get their value out of that because they know the Cherubi came down. Then I can Deathclaw my Cherubi, pop, and then get the value out of Cherubi immediately. If it's not done, while also doing like a free sec swing on them too. So that's been working out pretty well. Being able to utilize Deathclaw in that way has been definitely shaping matchups in a different way when people are trying to like get like that mid game like final push against Cherubi to finish him off. It's been helping out a lot with that. And then Fly Bullet's just definitely been better in most situations versus the level 6 hybrid kill spell. Playing a mix of two, it's felt pretty good. It's been nice against our matchup with green, and also has been good against red, being able to deal with like those like big heavy hitters out of security. If you cheese one out of security, it feels really good. Having it in hand doesn't feel awful to play, especially if you're staring down like an Argo or a Troymon or something, because you can just play that, and then it's too expensive for them to back up into a 6 with that 4, so they usually invest into swinging into security, and then you can kind of deal with that with the Trubie later. So
Yeah.
but good.
So the tournament that I went to, when I went undefeated with green, or sorry, we both went to, you got stunted on by red. So
Yeah.
like, is that just a bad matchup, or do you think like because of the lack of fly bullets and everything, you're like, oh, my security just wasn't it? I know how red goes. Sometimes they just hit their line and they kick you in the chest, and like that's every matchup of every color, right? So
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it, but it definitely stands out more with like Trubie. Like if you're having the turns, like I had the turns like where I was playing, I get baited. Like I'd like look at my opener and it's like a Kari, Boko, and then like a Kaiser Leo or something. I'm like, all right, no, this is pretty good. Like I can like work with this, and then like your Boko misses or whiffs like another hybrid or whatever. You just get like another card or something, so you don't have like the Koichi to get value off of the cycle through your deck. You don't have a mat to like set yourself to 3, and then red responds with, you know, uh Flamon, Aguni promo, like Analog Youth, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna get styled on next turn. They're losing 4 security, and they're gonna drop their Flamon, do another search, and then hatch an egg, and then Flamon over that, and then play a Takumi. And I'm just like, all right, like I, you know,
yeah.
the best way to like the worst thing that you can deal with is just like any deck that can just get super aggressive on you earlier. That's why the green matchup can be tough at times if green does get like just a very like get the ball rolling early and they can just like efficiently just keep throwing out like big hitters, and then also the ancients being able to drop more 4s on top of that can sometimes be awkward to deal with with the limited memory you have generally with Cherubi. So red having the same thing. If red can just like line up early and they hit their pieces, then if you don't have the stuff like Flybolt or anything there to help kind of like circumvent that, you kind of just get run over. So that's why after that Sunday, I was like, all right, I need to change. I need other options to be able to deal with this out of security. I can't just get run over for free. They can't just swing freely into my security, being like, oh, the only thing in there is going to deal with my 5. So if I go into 6, then I'm safe. Like I need people to at least like kind of think about it. And then also there's a second Susano that got thrown in as well for being able to, in certain situations, trying to Susano early just to put extra pressure on decks that were also quick to kind of like switch the tempo, not only in my favor, but also potentially present like a game-ending board state like out of nowhere, like turn 4 or 5, if you just happen to like get the good draws, or like if you're just like cycling through your deck as fast as purple can cycle through it, if you get like a decent opener. That's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, what we played today, maybe like 8 games, maybe 9 games total. Susano won 2 of them by themselves.
Yeah, for both from each other. Like
for each other. Like I Susano,
one of our
Susano,
Susanos.
Yeah, one of us. I was like, all right, and that's the game. And then you're like, yeah, we got it. And then I thought I had game because I Argo locked you. And I was like, all right, this is a wrap. Where are we going next? And then you started counting hybrids. I was like, oh, what is going on? Joe, Susano, stay back. Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine not playing Susano. I really can't. It hurts to think about it, and I think it's like, what happened? Is it MDF? Like, was that what happened? Is like once MDF?
Oh, why he lost the hype compared to what he had before?
Yeah, and then even now when I see these lists, and they're like, yeah, I just don't play Susano. I'm like, so like, what are you doing, man? Like this is a game-ending play, even for 7, and they think it's too expensive. But I was like, he's 50, he does 3 checks. Like this card's cracked. So.
I think most decks always have that window to Susano too. So like even if you're putting them to 4, putting them to 5 or whatever, like there's certain windows, like even if they have 5, like they've like just mindlessly exhausted their tamers, or mindlessly like just like didn't like properly like set up their board in a good way, then you can just Susano them, and they're like, oh, like I'm in a game where I'm trying to catch up, and I'm just gonna lose out just because of that Susano.
Yeah. I mean, like in our matchup, I was at like 4 security, and then as soon as Susano dropped, I had no way to clear it. And I was like, I really lose next turn. Like there's like a double Koiji down there, and like there's no way. This is ridiculous. But I don't understand how you and me have these games where I'm like, all right, Susano just makes or breaks these games, and other people are like, I don't like Susano. I don't like the feeling of it. When you also get offered the ability to high roll it into your security, and like auto win a game, you have no business winning. because like you get a Gaia Force in your deck that should not have happened, right? Or like
Yeah.
especially against red, especially against green. I think you did it to me today too. I swung a hit to
Yeah.
Susano at a security, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, kick."
Yeah.
And then it's like played on a hybrid, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Susano's good, man. Especially with HPD. I learned that against Cam. I didn't know that you get HPD over a JP or a Tamer. I was going over level 6 in like the most old school way possible. I thought we were playing fair Digimon, and I realized that it's not the case. HPD is broken. And
I think the thing with Susano is because of the lack of like level 6 and level 7 removal, it's like, okay, the best answer to Susano is actually like a Susano.
Susano, yeah,
So-
yeah, yeah.
So if you just play it down early, even for 7, if they don't have it, then they're like, oh, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when I've been doing this a lot too, and I get scared when people do it back. So if they have a level 5 out, and I have no way to punish the 5, and I'm probably at like 4 or 3 memory, I go like hybrid into memory tamer, give them 4. Does that make sense? Like inherent in tamer, it's like the JP whatever, and then like a Mimi on top of it. I'm like, all right, go ahead, go get him, champ. And then it's like draw, and then they go into their 6, and then into Susano over it. I'm at 6 memory, and I'm like, I can't clear Susano. I'm going to lose next turn, right? And it's so early. Where like the 7 is just like, it's so good. It's such a phenomenal play that I don't know how other people don't see it when they do that, right? Maybe because like they're just used to shuffling everything back. I think Green's skill ceiling, even though it's not that high, they never want to go over their Ancient Beetle. They feel like what's this on board? It's like, all right, this is the most cracked card in the game, and so like they don't want a Susano that way. And I personally was like, all right, I'm looking for a window to use HPD on it, right? So like make Susano get crazy, but then I realized I was like, oh, you can go for a tamer. All right, never mind. It's a piercing Susano. That's cracked, man. Comes down Gaia Force, piercing, easy. So it's pretty wild.
I definitely feel like the Chirby yellow and or Chirby anything and green have like the easiest like broken combos that you can just make with Susano, where you can just Susano for like 2 out of nowhere with HPD, or 3 if there's a Boko on board, or like pop your Chirby, bring out 3 Bokos, Susano, like you could just Susano for 1. Like there's like a lot of like just crazy like nut stuff that like they can do with Susano. Specifically to make it even more unfair to like resemble like old HPD Susano.
Yeah.
Or old, MDF Susano.
I used to fear Bushi and like the concept of you like bring a whole bunch of Bushi or like Lucamon out with all this, and I was like, now the more we play, the more games I notice. I was like, how many bulks in your discard? And you're like, yeah, there's 2, and I was like, I lost. I hate Cherubi, right? Like, because by then you have 5 tamers out. Because I swung at you like 2 or 3 times, and one of them hit a tamer, and I was like, oh, this is not it. I don't know. I think Cherubi's strong. So like on the Cherubi topic, side deck cards against the expected meta. For you in particular. So mirror match, blue hybrid. I mean, red you just need kill spells. That's kind of like pretty obvious out there. And I guess we'll go lastly with like green or purple yellow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of green popping up locally now, or a lot more green starting to pop up locally. So
Let's go,
if
Russ.
anything, like the only like, I mean, I got cute mons obviously can go in. Cute mons are in the side. Really easy substitute out. Throw them in. If you're really feeling the hate, you can just side in the level 5 Skullgray. Just discard it with a Koichi or something and just throw it underneath like a Cherubi to give it retaliation, to just make it like really awkward for them to deal with your board.
Yeah.
Because the Kaiser Leo, I mean, you counted so many times where you're just like doing your turn, you're like, that doesn't have retaliation anymore, right? And I'm like, no. And you're like, I'm gonna kill him. Like, I'm running him over now. Like,
Yeah.
or when is the retaliation clock over? So being able to like reset that clock and like leave it live. If you're really feeling like the hate against green, I mean, I have those like as an option to side in. And then Neo Debbie's just for like the general overall like board of or field of hybrid tamers everywhere. The Starmon's helping out with that too. There's a lot of like hate specifically in my main board for memory rookies and anything that would like kind of shut down that play. So even hard playing a Neo Devi, like siding that feels great, because worst case, like it forces them to not do their rookie over their egg and instead of hard playing instead. So I'm basically getting the 3 memory return one way or another.
Yeah.
And then that also just like out that I can just Cherubi that away the next turn. Like I don't have to keep the Neo Devi on board. Like Neo Devi does its job once I get some sort of memory investment out of them. So it forced them to basically play my game, which feels really good.
Yeah.
So obviously those, and then also I'm citing the Chaos mode Lucamons. Since I'm already maining multiple Lucamons, being able to side those in for like a more like control like grindier matchup, um, feels pretty good. Being able to like help control like tamers and control boards that way. Once the Truby does pop, they give me like better like extensions of my board. Um, Feels pretty good.
Gotcha. Mirror match? Would that be Lucamon fall down mode, or like what can you think of off the top to be like, yeah, it's mirror match card, and like what are you taking out in it, or you're like at this point you're like it's funny no one else plays Cherubi here, so I don't think you've touched the mirror match once, right?
Yeah, I haven't really touched mirror match once. I mean, I already have kind of hate in there with like already like main decking like more recovery options than people typically are with that, so I think I can grind out Cherubi a lot easier. Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything. Like maybe like an extra like purple option there in the sideboard. I'm siding in Gazis and stuff anyway to stop like Boko Madness and stuff anyway. So I can just get them back with Cherubi to like lock down like a mid game like board state. So yeah, like that, like purple Lucy's will definitely go into to help control control their tamers to stop them from going for like board ending states and stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's fire, dude. Okay, so moving on. I guess we'll now talk about green because it's probably the biggest change over last week.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah, the elephant in the room, young green. So as we talked about in the last podcast, I was like, oh, I'm gonna take the week. I'm gonna learn blue. I'm gonna learn green. I'm gonna get a little crazy. So whatever. I picked up green. I slowly learned how much skill it actually takes to pilot that deck. When you don't have the perfect line, or when you do have the perfect line but not enough tamers. And so I probably changed in between like playing starter deck Izzy, not playing starter deck Izzy, playing Ancient Troymon, playing Argomon, all the other garbage. And I think I found after testing a lot with like Max DePera's list that I really don't like Ancient Evolution, and I really don't like Ancient Troymon versus good players. So if you guys have saw, if you've seen this video, hopefully you saw the last video of my Green Harvard profile. I went 5-0 at our locals, which is nothing too crazy exciting about whatever. It's kind of clickbaity title, but like whatever. The deck is strong, and I think it's more strong than I even give it credit for when I initially thought about going in and playing it. And I was super set on playing purple yellow for Miami, but after playing against Cam and his homie Albert, I'm pretty sure I'm just no matter what playing green for when it comes to Miami. And I think our complaints about SetCon of like not having the ability to outplay, to punish certain plays, to rush down a good player, which yellow honestly can't do until it hits Serafi, which would take like 3 to 4 turns against a good player who's constantly memory choking you down until you get to your TK. It feels bad when green like runs a mile with 2 or 3 memory. Like it is absurd. If you have JP in play and you give me 3 memory, I feel like I can do whatever I want. And I swapped out main deck Ancient Troymon for main deck Argos, and I've never removed lethal against me so many times in my life, and then presented lethal right back without having the main Argos. And I think that is probably just an adaptation to how everyone's building, or finally realizing that most of their lists were built subpar, so they need to push their tamer lineup, and then push more hybrids into their list, which would thus in turn make me want to side in Argo, and I couldn't justify keeping Ancient Troymon mained against good players, because I don't think it's all that good except like against the mirror match. That's the only thing I can actually think of. And against Cherubi, I thought it was going to help stop the rush down, and it doesn't at all, because they're just going to swing a Cherubi, pop it, and then one by one swing with each one of their tamers with hybrids that they got back with calling. So yeah, I didn't like it as much. Cam, how was the experience playing against me playing green, and how does that like warp the meta for you? Or if even though you're not going to play any Digifest, is that enough for you to stop playing purple yellow?
I mean, that's the whole reason I think it's dropped. And I didn't say this when we were playing, talking about yellow, but like yellow's only consistency, true consistency is like Boko, because if your security's trash, you're not getting anything off your Zoe or TK. And Boko not only gets punished by blue, because it's going to stick there forever, and they're going to ripple Sora Joe, cool, thanks for the memory. And then green is just like, oh, well, I'm just going to pierce you, free target. Like, you just can't put down anything against green because it's like oh just value, so much value, and then like I'm removing your stuff. I'm probably um you know I'm piercing because I got the JP. Oh, you swung and flipped over a JP, good game, bro.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That feels like the greatest. I feel like I'm playing security control and I hit a Gaia Force. Like when that stuff happens, I'm like, oh, like we got there, baby.
Yeah. uh like it just really changes how you have to play, at least like when I played yellow against you and I played blue against you. I mean, um I haven't played purple. um Tyler can talk about that, but I just feel like it changes the way that you kind of have to approach like the matchup, and it's really
Hmm.
awkward.
Hmm.
And I think like decks just aren't built to deal with it right now.
Yeah, I think the way we're discussing things in the group chat is you were saying that you kind of have to like god draw your lines as well as like your optimal routes to victory against green, and that's only if they give you time to do that. And I think Tyler and I have noticed that in a couple of our games today. I think at the end of our games, like our session, I think we might have gone like 50-50. I honestly don't remember. We don't keep track like that. But it came down to the point where I was like, I still haven't determined what is making or breaking our early games yet. And it's
Yeah.
really rough to discuss because like he hits a Matt, I hit a Mimi. We got memory tamers going, and there's like certain games where I just run away with it, and I'm trying
Yeah.
to like think back of why. And it's like, what
Yeah.
is it? Because you played a Boko or like, there are times that I'm like, oh, was your hand trash? Is that why I had to go into like your hybrid? And then you missed your mat, and so you passed over on like a Boko, and you had boards where like if you didn't have a double tamer by turn 3 or 4, I just ran you over. Like you're gonna get
Yeah.
crushed, right? And so.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like the consistency of green or like just one game where I like Boko and showed you like, or I beetled and showed you three ancient beetles went to the bottom of the deck. I was like, I'm losing this game. It's not happening, Kevin. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like stuff like that happens, and I'm like, okay, did that warp how you're playing the matchup? And do you only know that now after playing so many games against me, like that you're like, oh dang, like I'm really glad I'm getting like these green reps in. Or like now,
Yeah.
now that we're like 50 green games in deep, is you're like, wow, this is like a whole different world compared to when we first
Yeah.
started playing.
Yeah, going against green like so many games, it's like adapting to how green, like how you need to play against green is like going to be like what makes or breaks like your like success in tournaments as green starts to catch on more. Because like in our earlier games for sure, like I thought, definitely when I'm playing against purple yellow, for example, like I feel like safe passing you over to 4 to play like a Truby or play like a memory tamer or whatever. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put you to 4, like, it should be fine. And then purple yellow's like, I'm gonna play like TK and I'm gonna do this. I'm like, all right, cool, like nothing. I put like green to 4 and they just start like, just going ham, like line up, Thunder Laser, this, Ken, still my turn. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, as we were playing too, like, just whenever you just kind of like flip the switch, and as soon as you see me just sitting here, and I'm just play a Boko, like nothing, like no memory tamer yet, like play like a Kari and like pass. I'm like passing on Kari, like I haven't put anything, like haven't like hatched an egg or raised an egg yet. You just start just sending like as fast as possible. You're like, I don't care if I hit tamers, I don't care about whatever. Like anything can come out at this point. Like I'm not afraid of like Kaiser Leo. I'm not afraid of like retaliation. Like I'm just going to just full send your security like nonstop, and then just make an ancient and just look at you because like you have to respond to this ancient. Or
Hmm.
respond to this ancient now after I just like swung 2 rookies at your security, and you don't have a way of recovering because there's no Sala in your egg area. Is I just have like such like you're put on a check nonstop every turn starting like turn 3.
Yeah.
And that's like just like the power of like what Korean can do. Like once you see anyone having like a slower start, or people trying to play like that like style of like, oh, I want to like get set up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Green's like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
having that. Green's like, I don't care if you have a card, I could still like efficiently use my turn. So it
Hmm.
doesn't like shut them off as hard. So
Yeah.
that's how I like saw our games going. Like once like like saw like you just kind of like with your searches and like saw things go to the bottom, like all right, I'm pretty safe to start like setting up. Like you have to like go like absolutely nuts to find that fourth beetle or whatever. And then if you
Yeah.
find like Argo, I'm like, I can handle an Argo. Like you can send it. I'm fine with that. So
Yeah,
it definitely has shifted the way like I play the games or how I'm approaching our games for sure.
yeah. So if you're looking to have success at Digifest, and if you think green's gonna catch on at all, definitely get some reps in against it. That is not a deck you want to sit down and just be like, oh, let's see how this goes. Like, oh yeah, it's not gonna be that bad. I
No
mean,
way.
yeah, people opened Starabi against me, and I was like, congratulations, you're at 3 security. It's turn 3. Or like
You have to be so disciplined when you play against green. You the whole game you have to be so disciplined. And that's I think it's going to be hard for a lot of players to do.
Yeah. And I think that's what I've noticed. Like my unoptimal draws with green, how to like play out of them to wins that I haven't seen before in many scenarios. It's mainly due to Mimi being able to like spit out rookies like No Tomorrow and discipline Rhino Digivolutions, and discipline as in, is this now the time to make Rhino, or is it now like a time to wait a turn and just swing in with my level 4? And then if I don't have a level 4 to level up, like to follow up with, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Also, I think a lot of people love dropping down a hybrid off of their Ancient Beetle, no matter what. And I can tell you how many times like Tyler's gone, pop your Ancient Beetle, like Retaliation swing in, hybrid, and I was like, I ain't playing anything. Go ahead, dog. Like I have 3 level 4 hybrids in my hand. I was like, I ain't playing nothing. This is lethal. Like these 3 cards are going to win me the game in 3 turns from now. So I cannot afford to drop this out there. So you can like Deathclaw away a Salamon you're probably gonna draw next turn.
I tried, yeah. I'm like, you sure you don't want to play? You
Yeah.
don't want to play a
Yeah,
hybrid?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you positive?
Yeah. But then when I see other people playing it, they're like, oh, it lets me play a hybrid from my hand. I can go Rhino over this. And I'm like, that is never a good play. That's 3 memory. That's sad. Like, you can play other things. So, as I said in the video, I don't think my list is actually pushed to, like, full optimization. I think there's tons of room for adaptation. And I do believe I greeted level 5s. And I think if anyone watches the video now after listening to this podcast for some reason, haven't watched the video, add in level 5s, give a little bit more consistency in there. I'm choosing to now test out the Terriermon Assistant, and I played that today against Tyler, and I've never had a more useless card, like, backfire on me. Like, I popped it, I was like, I'm laser hunting, and I drew, I missed my laser, I used Terriermon Assistant, and it showed laser on top of my deck and put it at the bottom, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, the second Terriermon hit a JP too, and I was like, oh my god.
And you always want JP, you always want the board.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you always need to help me out, so it was fun times. I'm now at the point where I'm going to test Neemon, because if I can make a beetle swing with it no matter what, want my beetle to die and get a free JP off of it, it's like, is it worth it? Is it time? Is it Neemon time? But,
Does it die though?
what, Neemon?
No,
My beetle?
The beetles.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's too strong. He's huge.
They're too big. They're too beefy.
Yeah, the green cards are just like 1k DP.
Yeah. The fact that Rhino swings over everyone else's level 5s is super cracked. And I think that's another thing, like the discipline of knowing when to go into Ancient Beetle and when to play a Tamer for the end turn instead. So it was like, Rhino swing in, if I don't hit a Schwartz here, I'm pretty much chilling. Then I hit a Schwartz, and I was like, alright, never again. And then the next game, I'm like, yeah, we're doing it again. Swing, no Digivolution. Let's see the Schwartz. So, yeah, good deck. Is everyone now putting in their top 3? Or like, yeah, easily.
Yeah, like green. Yeah, green's definitely up there. Top 3, easy. Like it's like blue, green, and then. Oh man,
Truby? I think it's Truby, honestly.
Maybe Truby.
Yeah, because like the ramp up there, and people were like, "Oh, honestly, the deck kind of takes forever." I don't think Salamon lets it take forever.
Yeah, I mean it's probably Truby. I don't know. I definitely don't play purple yellow or like yellow hybrid with purple, so I don't really speak too much to it. I still like the look of the deck. I still think the deck, still does pretty well.
You guys
play
no
more games
reason,
than me.
bro. You
lose
because like you're like, I haven't found a Kaze or a Zephyr all game. I
Yeah.
have 12 Tamers out. You're like, I just need level 4. You're like, already whiffed on a Boko? We got this. Draw for turn, and it's like the Schwartz. Yeah, now have triple Schwartz in your hand. But it doesn't matter. They have 7 Tamers out. So like, or if it's red and the red just presses you and you're like, I don't have a jet. I lost.
Yeah, I would say like 3 to 5 is like pretty close between like both versions of purple, yellow, yellow, purple, and then like red's like in the mix, like near like the probably a little bit lower, but it's still
Yeah, yeah.
super powerful when it goes off.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, I still think black's always gonna be my number 5. I do not believe red any form of red is top 5. I don't believe it. I think it has inconsistency issues. I think Flameon's one of the worst cards that has to play for consistency. Like if you want to compare like Flamon to Strabi, right? Where like getting the Digivolution gets you the stun off Big Bear, right? Because there's a hybrid underneath it, or like no, it needs a Tommy. It was does it need a Tommy or is it a hybrid? I swear it did something else. Like Flamon didn't get you an effect that was all that game changing, because I think it's just Burning Gray or something, like or Emperor. It's not. It's definitely Emperor. Yeah, it's whatever level 4. Like it gets some like crazy good effect. It doesn't get that like blue does. Also, I like the Strabi, the inheritable Strabi, the rookie. I think that card's really cracked.
The memory gain one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's actually pretty valuable, and I don't believe red gets that in this.
Well, they have piercing on their other Flamon, so it's
yeah. So that it's like yeah.
It's pretty good for sure, but it's like
it's a weird thing. I mean, red just has to high roll, and I think that you experienced that on Sunday, where you got high roll by red, and you're like, "What's up, dog?"
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying this out of experience or anything. I'm just saying, red does have its consistency issues, and I think that's what's holding it down there. But I don't think there's like, when I'm thinking of like other decks, it's hard to place like some other decks like above it. Like maybe black is that sleeper pick. I mean, we definitely played against it like a decent amount.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe it is black. I don't know. I need to see more reps of black or different black builds. I've just seen like so many different reps of like what red can do.
Mm-hmm.
That like black feels like it has like, it falls a little bit into like that same kind of like linear pattern where it's like I already kind of know what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
If I can just answer this one thing, then I'm pretty much coasting.
Yeah. Red doesn't have Zabu's a punch though. Zabu, whatever that is.
Black super gun punch.
Yeah. It's crazy. Green doesn't worry about it because it just thunder lasers it to the side, and you swing it lethal anyway. Because totally balanced card. It's red. We have all the colors down. Blue. We still haven't talked about blue. Okay.
What's there to talk about, man? Blue's just cracked.
Yeah, blue's good. Blue's is very, very good. Yeah, I expect blue to win this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. I expect 4 blue decks to be in top 8, with a mixture of purple, maybe 1 red if it's every dog has his day kind of thing, and then a green if a good player is piloting green and has taken reps with it. I don't believe green is a deck where someone can just go like pick it up and be like, yeah, that's fast, baby. Like I don't see it like that. Especially the way it draws. I think green's very like that's a lean deck where sometimes you just have to go for the line and pray you draw it off your next 3 cards instead of like chilling back and playing a tamer. Because the games I chill back against you when you're playing Cherubi, I lose by turn 5. Like I'm like the game's already over. You're showing lethal like turn 3 or something like that and missed a hybrid. So like to sit back and waiting till you get your ancient to like make a huge like board play is just not it with green. You just kind of have to like move on up there. So I don't know what's left to discuss. We have all the colors. We got most of like the side deck cards out of the way.
I think we should. I can go a little more into blue than just saying it's crap.
Yeah. Go.
So we were playing it, and I think against yellow, if you just play a bunch of tamers, if you keep tamer count even, like even if they shores you plenty of times, like that's where I was catching you, and like you were drawing kind of bad on those games. Like one game, you're like, well, I have like triple or quad shores in my hand.
Yeah.
But like, I do think also just the turbo version is probably the best. But if in terms of techs, I think I haven't tested. I mean, I tested Bond, but potentially if green is really like as strong as it is, and like our results weren't just low sample size, and that's just kind of how the matchup goes, then potentially like Bond, if you're really worried about green and green becomes big, like maybe Bond becomes your side deck.
Yeah.
Just like as an engine, because you were saying that Bond like just has the potential to burst you down without putting bodies on board for green to kind of take advantage of.
Yeah, unless Blue's playing a card that takes 3 security in one turn consistently, which is what Bond is, then I'm not really like afraid of it at all with green. However, if you see Bond coming, Ancient Troymon just gets slammed into the deck, and you just take that turn to Ancient Troy and turn down their aggression with Bond's Madness.
I think also like blue should potentially, and some people are starting to do it. Like you should just play Susano as well. It gives it the potential to make that big burst play against green without potentially having a body on board, right? So yeah, I think blue. I mean, didn't say much about it, but it's still super cracked.
Oh yeah. No, I don't believe its position has changed. Just everything else around it is changing to fit what it does. And once more and more lists get out there that are strong, it's going to push like it's slowly going to push bad decks, quote unquote bad decks, are just more inconsistent than blue because blue gets to do whatever it wants. Like it's slowly going to push it out of the format, and that's what we're just kind of experiencing now with like our testing games. But I do believe green versus blue is, looking back now after a lot of our test games as well as the weekend, I just think it's heavily green favored because you can't not commit to board and play it like you're going to against yellow purple, where you're like, oh, it's yellow purple, there's really not much going on here. But like green can be like, oh, since you have 4 tamers out, I'm going to go like swing rookie, and then I will go into an Argo and tap your board out, and like now you have literally 0 plays the next turn. You can't strip with Sorjo. You can't tap down with like you can't freeze with Tommy. It's a game changer, and everyone was like, oh, you just side deck Argo and put it into useful matchups when you can just main it and close out game 1 like very intimidating because getting Argoed when you're not expecting it is like incredibly frustrating, and I'm not even the one. I'm the one doing it. Like I'm not even like on your guys' side of the board. I was like, pretty sure you just lose to an Argo here. Here's an Argo. Like, what do you got for me? And that's what I thought having against Tyler, and that's when he Susano'd it. And I was like, no, Susano. How could you? I was at 4 security. He had 4 tamers all tapped, and I was like, it's free SM, baby. Like, it's over now. And I think he's only at 2 security left. I put super pressure on him. He Susano'd, and then I was like, that's a game.
Yeah, I won security because you had the Argo, then you had like a Agumon and raising. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna raise up and just kill you next turn. And I was like, I got Susano. I hope I have 10 in here.
Yeah, the way you counted, you're like 9. And I was like,
I had 11 total, including my hand. So I was like, all right, let me like count this out again. Let me make sure I have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. So I think that goes down to like, how do you end this? Blue. Did you like the starter deck, Matt? Like, did you think it was good? The level 2?
Is cost.
Is this starter deck?
It's like the mini Sword Joe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The mini Sword Joe. Yeah. That card's pretty good.
Okay.
Like 1 or 2.
I'm trying to convince myself to play Izzy again, and so like and I'm not right now, and so I'm like, dang, it costs 2. Like, it's probably a lot of value you get there out of playing it down instead of like, you get these Rhino turns where you know all you're gonna do for the turn is go Rhino into Ancient, but if they already have a memory tamer out and you only have 2 memory left over and you don't need a Thunder Laser, you feel like it's a very wasted turn because you're going to need to swing and then put an Ancient over it, and then you're going to pass them over to 3 anyways, and you can't drop down a tamer because then you just end your turn, right? You can't make your Rhino and you can swing with Ancient. So like I think that's like when Izzy's going to kind of like squeeze in there, try to get some value. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to discuss. The colors, blue, expected meta. I mean, everyone has the biggest percentage being blue. Yeah, of of decks in the room, and then I mean, me personally, I see it being blue, then Cherubi, then yellow purple, or yellow purple splits with red, and then I think Christmas gets the biggest green representation. And I don't like that deck, and I don't think it's because of it by itself and the people playing. Like, obviously anyone can play Christmas or whatever. It doesn't feel as consistent and doesn't offer what green offers like over and over again. Just a line to Ancient, call it a day. I don't like looking. I don't even like playing Pokemon anymore. I can only imagine how it feels to drop down a Flamemon. So like, And your Flame on misses off of 3, I'm like, stop. Like, we're going to lose, right? So.
I actually, well, in my opinion, I do think yellow hybrids will be higher represented because I'm not sure everyone else is at that point yet where we're at, right?
Gotcha with the
And
testing.
we're pretty big yellow players, but I'm just,
Yeah. If we're
not
dropping
at this
it,
point.
everyone's like, no, I still like it. It's so strong. I'm like,
Yeah,
But
I think
I
the big.
still, I could see. Oh, sorry.
I
I
know
could
you're
just
good.
think it could be two, like the second play deck is all. But go ahead, Tyler.
I was say I agree with that too. Like I think like blue and like yellow hybrid are going to be like the two like most represented in the room for sure. Like those are definitely a deck to beat. But out of decks that are topping, I think blue is definitely going to have the most representation. I'm not. I mean, it probably is the most likely of winning. But then also like topping. I mean, you could like see like pretty much purple like yellow hybrid, blue. There could be some loop in there, cherubi.
yeah.
Like I think like any of those decks have like the ability to top depending on matchups. I still think Loop's a strong deck, even though I don't put it as a top 5. It's just probably like the biggest like contender of
I
like a
don't
rogue
know.
deck.
I don't know how people play
And depending on
you get
matchups,
rushed
I mean,
down. You get rushed down
we
by
talked,
bad
yeah,
decks.
I
Like,
know. We talked about it. I mean, I played it. I still play it. I still
Yeah,
haven't sleeped up. I still test it. It's just, yeah. I mean, if you can just like roll out people and like you have like good tech cards against matchups that you're expecting, like maybe you can just get there in certain situations. Like if you're just like playing for like guaranteeing that your Eismon die and like you play around it properly, I think they definitely have like the aspect of like people who are playing loop have probably played it for a long time, so the techs that they're teching in are for the current metagame that they're expecting. So there could be like I'm not saying it's like overwhelming, but like probably like one or two, maybe like a top 16, like wouldn't be unreasonable for like loop. And then they're just gonna get beat out by blue, and they're gonna be like, well, I had a good run, and then that's just gonna be it. So
yeah.
yeah.
I guess one thing just came to mind that it'd be the final thing we're talking about. The Magna Angemon version of like a Setcon yellow hybrid build is now getting talked about in the background of like teams. Some people have mentioned it a little bit on Facebook, but no one has posted a list. No one has played with it like an online tournament or like gone too crazy with it. And it just seems like a slow paced security control version of like what we had last format, but now updated to like the current meta. And how do you feel about it, Cam? Do you think like it could be viable against bad players or against bad lists? Because I don't see how like slowing down the pace of my yellow game is going to help me against hybrids, because like they're still just gonna go tamer wide and swing with uninteractable cards against me, and it's rough to like visualize, especially when Magna Angemon gives Sora Joe immediate access to everything it wants. So if you open with a Sora Joe and I have a Magna Angemon, I'll be like, what am I gonna give you 9 on turn 1, and you're gonna like lock me up going to a single Serafi that I probably can't even swing with because I can choke you, right? Like with mean.
So the first video I posted on my own YouTube, like the matchup, was my friend playing a yellow-red security control, and I'm like, really, this is what you're playing for the first video of like BT7 hybrids? Like, what the heck? Yeah. And it was actually a lot better than what I thought it was gonna be.
Interesting.
It was, I think, if blue, like, because we just talked about like the blue matchup for yellow hybrids is
close.
Is close. Like
Yeah.
I think this potentially has a better yellow matchup just because if you take out this hybrid engine, he was playing red base yellow. So if you take out this purple style, like Kari's still good, but like red's also really strong. It opens up a lot of space where he was playing like 3 to 4 Holy Flame, and that really changed the game. And that's like the one way to stop the hybrid kind of rush down, like to finish the game on one turn where you have like 4 or 5 tamers, right?
Gotcha.
And it would just be like, oh, it bought him a turn, and well, shit, I'm actually losing now. And so, and then the Giga Blaster, the red option, killed 2, I think it's 10k.
Added together 10k or 2 different 10k DP or less.
I think it's 2 different 10k.
Giga Storm, was it?
Oh yeah, man, it might have been Giga Storm. It's 2k, 2 8k or less, but that's pretty much anything that's not a mega, right?
Yeah.
So it was pretty good removal and pretty annoying to deal with as well. as like a new option. So I do think that that does have a chance
Okay.
to be, and that might be where yellow. I mean, it's not really like
Yeah, yeah.
game breaking going back to old security control,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
maybe that's
Really
how it
changing
kind
stuff up here. Yeah.
of. But yeah, it could be kind of where the deck should go.
Gotcha. I mean, if I see the
Still have to
list
test
find
green. Still have
success,
to
like
test green
that's great.
because
What happened?
you still have to test against green because we haven't tested that. Green is still once again could be a problem.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You drop a magnet out, I'm gonna feast on it, and I'll be like, "Thank you for the." I'll trash that one you just recovered, and then we'll get the one piercing. It's on you, champ. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't see how trying to go for a slower game plan is gonna help when other decks can rush you so hard. It feels faster than it was before, and now we don't. It's not even like a rookie rush style. It's like uninteractable teamers, and before we were depending on ultimate flare or like some kind of solid board wipe to hit them when they're going wide. But now that it's tamers, I don't see it. But I don't know. Maybe someone has like some really cool yellow purple idea that's not even like close to what we're building. Fall down modes and other like the what was it, the 8-drop option that's ridiculous. Either get
Better Lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like a Dead or Alive version of it can come out, but it seems more high rolly and has more consistency issues than I already have with yellow purple purple yellow right now. So yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Final thoughts, like going into the weekend outside of blue's gonna find success, or do you think there's gonna be like hype road decks popping up out of nowhere, or like hype tech? And how much are you personally? We're gonna go with Tyler on this one. How much are you personally thinking that the results of this week are immediately going to get copy and pasted into Miami because people doubt their own deck building skills, and their deck building skills are gonna be 1 or 2 cards different, or they're gonna side deck a 2 card that they were playing main now. Realize that good players aren't topping with it in Dallas. I'm just gonna switch over and play it. Like,
Man, there's people that are probably watching like local tournaments tonight that are switching up their deck list for this weekend based on what they're seeing. People are so like wish-washy in TCGs just in general that they're probably just already switching decks, selling their decks, going different colors like over this weekend just based on local performances. So yeah, for sure. Based on what we see in tops and everything, it's either going to be, can my deck beat this, or do I just play that? And that's just going to be like the big focus of like Florida, at least in my opinion, at least like from what I've seen in the past. That's what I feel is just going to be like. If we just see like top 16, like theoretically all blue and blue's just crazy, then it's going to be like that's just going to follow into like Florida of like, all right, let me play like main deck stuff specifically. It's going to counter. I expect to see that like in this next tournament. So, but. That's kind of what I think. I don't know if there's like any like sleeper deck that I could see like performing like super well outside of like what we're kind of expecting. Outside of like, I feel like all like the rogue decks have like some sort of like consistency issue or like some like weird meta issue. Outside of like I think Lilithmon could maybe adapt and like do decently well. And then if someone really can get like the Doroguru like black deck going, you know, they got enough reps in on that, like maybe they can see some success as well.
yeah.
Those are like the only two I can really see outside of like that top 5 threshold of being able to like break into seeing some sort of success. Because I think they had the tools available. It's just about finding the right matchups and teching the correct cards for like what they expect to see in the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, this could be that moment when next week, after results, like we get all results on like Sunday and everything happen, we're like, all right, you know what? This deck's ridiculous. Like, how did we never think of this? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Or it shows up 5 blue, 3 reds in top 8, and we're like, all right, I guess that's just like,
Bro,
I guess this is how it goes.
There's more than like a red in top like 8. I'm gonna be surprised.
Dude, man, it could be the Dan Bank special. He's gonna do it again, just like he did Nationals.
All right, Christmas doesn't count. I'm talking about like pure ancient red.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. All right, same thing. Like, do you think anything like Sleeper's gonna pop up, or do you think, from your experience playing in regionals and everything that you've done in the side digits, do you think they're as impressionable, in their deck choices as Pokemon is? Because I like you're about to go to a Pokemon event and you know it's just Mew City and you know everything's based off of Australia, like they just went on, right? So
what's interesting, I think, about Digimon is that I think a lot of the top players stick to the same color, and they just play at every regional.
Yeah.
And the thing about that'll be interesting about this is the first like in-person major event. Who of the top players is actually gonna show up? And I think that can also like skew like if Chungman shows up with blue and he's gonna win. But if he doesn't show up, like blue might not do as well. And I'm just being serious. Like
absolutely.
human is insane with Lilith. And if he's there with Lilith, like Lilith's chances of topping go way up.
He also draws really well. like
he was correct, man.
He's correct. Like some of his games was like, all right, he definitely needs to hit. All right, he hit it. Wow. Wow.
Man's playing 8 rookies.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But like I think that'll and like Dan Bang, like obviously known for aggressive decks. Like I think these top players are just known for specific things. So it'd be interesting who shows up.
Yeah.
I think in terms of what has the chance to do well, I think if there is a good Cherubi player in the room, if there is a good green player in the room, I think those have the 2 top chances of winning.
Yeah.
If there's just like, and they have to be like really good, like like with humans, a really good Lilith, which I think also has a chance. But if not, then I think blue just like
Dougie's
a pretty good blue player.
Yeah.
Easily take it.
Yeah. It's the consistency and the ceiling of blue is just absurd. No other deck can put their cards back in their hand, right? Like that. Like I didn't even know that had that ability to do that going into this set. So when Nate did it against me, and he's like, "Swing! I get to put this guy back in my hand." I was like, "Excuse me." Like, and you pop back my Boko? That's disrespectful. What happened? And so, like, I read the card. I'm like, oh, dang. And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. It's just level 4. And then I'm like, oh, wait, it's a hybrid. All right. So he just doesn't even need to hit because he has it, right? And so, like, it's pretty crazy. And I think, yeah, man, blue just keeps on going. It already did us at Nationals. We already got bonded to death. Leave us alone. Like one format. Turn into green for one format. Please, and let green take a little bit of spotlight, and the next set it's gonna be like a Mastermind Madness, right? So it's gonna be wild. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. I don't keep track of particular players far too often, and then now I have like going into nationals and my huge run of playing on online events, but I guess people really don't like giving up the color that they are used to playing. They just might give up a particular digi, like we gave up on Sakuya. And then, like, we're like, oh, we're still going to play, like, Jet Selfie's broken. And then now I'm like, man, I want to play aggressive. Like, I'm sick of this. Like, sitting around waiting stuff. Yeah. And it's like, maybe a lot of people don't have that mentality. Like, what they would just do is like, all right, here's my tech cards for this matchup. And, like, it's definitely going to work. And the more we talk about green, the more people are like, oh, yeah, like, I can't wait to put on Qmon, Siakomon, blah, blah, blah. I will tell you, right now, as the quote-unquote green guy now on the podcast, or what's going on, those cards don't do anything. They get eaten. They're a free security. I appreciate their presence and their wasted memory. Because like they're like, oh, Siako, and they're like, oh, it costs 1 less, and I was like, oh, JP, no, you're just a normal, piercing tamer now. Like, oh, how dare you, right? And yeah, I don't think that's a tech. I'm pretty sure people will find new tech to side deck in, and I wonder if that's gonna get posted too. Are they going to post both?
Side deck? That'd be interesting, yeah.
They post the side decks and the main decks. And if they're like, oh, here's the main. And everyone's like, yo, leak the side. And then he's going to be like, no, I'm playing in Digifest next week and my side deck was correct. Like, I'm playing in Miami next week and I gotta get this one going. And he only found one. He only has one Lilith, right? And so now he needs 2. And he's playing Lilith Loop. And it was crazy, right? So, yeah. We push the meta further and further. All right. Any final thoughts before going into next week? Anything crazy? Test against green?
Oh.
Test against green.
Yeah. Test against green.
Yeah.
The podcast.
Test against green.
Whatever
Man.
you do, test against green. Russell's going to run you over in fucking Miami, dog.
I'm going to open like 4 Ancient Beetle in Miami game 1. I'll be like, all right, you know what? Maybe it was Jet Selfie. Maybe she does love me.
Jet Selfie, come back.
Please.
Jet Selfie, come back. I didn't mean it.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.